I ask you to make my words your words. Use me as a way to convey what you need, what you want, what you ask us for. For I am yours, and you are mine. I want you to do something. I'd like for you to just think of one concern, something on your mind that might be stressing you out, that might be scaring you, causing you distress. It might be creating doubts. It might be cheesing you off. It might be making you feel empty or alone, bring resentment, harbor regrets. Think on that one thing for just a second. My God, don't we have enough concerns in this world? World hunger, global warming with all of its effects, storms, floods, politics of our beloved nation, mass shootings and the stress that creates for us. Now this public safety emergency and the ways that we're all adapting. It's all too much. Sometimes you need to only pay attention to get a message. Last weekend, I spent the weekend with my brother Dave, who has a glioblastoma, 3-tumor brain cancer. And in that quality time of laughing and crying, I was so honored that he asked me to go to a service with him. It's a church that he and Christine go to from now and again. The pastor gave a sermon called Tangled, and we all listened intently. We know that in this world, we get tangled up on earthly things. Now, he talked a lot about possessions, but when we read about seek ye first the kingdom of God, I want you to think of that statement as not only the physical, yes, all things shall be provided, but also the emotional. As we affirm weekly from Ephesians, we know that God is at work within us and able to accomplish abundantly far more than all we can ask or imagine. That's our God. Our God is an awesome God. My God, don't we have enough to worry about in this life? On a personal level, we've got care for our children, care for our parents, family members, friends, pets, care of ourselves. It's all too much. It's just too much. Penalty, 5 yards, piling on. Okay, because if I don't laugh, I cry, and that's fine too. But it's too much. Another very similar message came to me when I noticed a book that we have in our living room table. It's a book by Anne Lamott called Help, Thanks, Wow, The 3 Essential Prayers. Now this has been sitting around, and I saw the word help, and I said, I think I'm going to pick it up. I highlighted some items from the book that I want to share with you because I agree with Ms. Lamott's thoughts on what are we going to do with our stuff. And I mean our emotional as well as physical stuff. But when it comes to asking for help, she is suggesting the idea of a God box, of which she says there are many types. A shoe box, a fancy box, an ugly box. It doesn't matter. There is a process she describes in here that is interesting about physically writing down a problem and letting it go inside the God box. Physically doing it is part of her argument, will relieve some of that pressure off of you. She says, yet maybe if you ask for help in knowing which direction to face, you'll have a moment of intuition. Maybe you'll see at least one next right step to take. When we think we can all do it ourselves, when we think we can buy, fix, set a date, or whatever we're trying to do for a solution, it's basically hopeless. We're going to screw things up. We are human, and we will not get the full benefit of our efforts. Ms. Lamott goes on to say, with a God box, you'll finally be announcing to everyone, the universe, that you can't do it, that you have ruined things enough for one day. This is what gets you off the hook. A physical activity that lets you feel a release. This problem right now is going in the God box. It's what gets everyone off the hook, she says. The hook brings the single worst place. It is the single worst place to be. My priest friend Bill Rankin said that through prayer we take ourselves off the hook and we put God on the hook where God belongs. When you're on the hook, you're thrashing, you're helpless, you're furious like a small little kid being raised by the seat of his pants by a bully, flailing arms, the whole thing. Jesus, on the literal hook of the cross, says to God, help. And what do we see? God enters into every second of the passion just like a labor nurse might. We have a beautiful option. I know I have missed the opportunity many times. Finally, when she says, when we cry out help, or we just whispered into our chests, we release ourselves from the absolute craziness of trying to be our own or other people's higher power. Help! Praying help means that we ask someone greater than us, give us the courage to stop in our tracks, right where we are. Turn our fixations away from that Gordian knot of our problem. It may be one of those miracles where your heart sinks because you think it means you've lost. But in surrender, you have won. That was my second message to me this week, a very difficult week. And it struck me in this singular week that I possibly have been hearing but not listening. That perhaps I'm reading just fine, but I'm not comprehending. And finally, I may be talking without communicating. What does it take for me, for us, to understand God's call to seek God first? First. To cry help. It's never about doing nothing. We're adults. Of course we're going to take responsibility. Isn't that what we teach our kids after all? Or we try to. It's more about the action, taking some God action. The psalmist that we read in 42 is giving us a wake-up call. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come and behold the face of God? I hope the psalmist was asking that of himself or herself. What are we waiting for? I love the imagery of the psalm where it's the idea of thirsting for God. I believe we need God as much as we need water. I mean, recall Jesus reminds the woman at the well, God is life-sustaining water. Jesus told her, that's what I'm talking about. Don't know if she got it, but he wanted us to understand we need God like we need water every day. So I leave you with, when you get a quiet moment, consider that one thought, that one concern, that angst that you have. And give that thought over to your waiting God. God is waiting. God is asking you, come back. Use me. I am yours. Recently, as events brought me to great sorrow this week. I was on the phone one evening this week with my dear friend Chris, and I just broke down in complete frustration. It's all too much. I repeated that several times, and then I quickly had to get back to work. It wasn't but a few moments later that I got her text, and her text literally said, trying my own advice, give it to God and go to sleep. Amen. God of strength and mercy, our feet may fail. Our feet do fail. We call on your holy name, not only because you are waiting for us to do so, but because we need you. We're human, and we ask that presence we know is there. Your love is too powerful. Just give us the signs we need to call you back. We praise you and give ourselves over to you with Jesus as our guide.